Main character syndrome is affecting everybody and anybody who doesn't know what it is. And main character syndrome is very, very simple once you scratch beneath the surface and take a look at what it is. Because what most people don't realize is the more indispensable you become, the less scalable your life becomes. Another way of saying this is the more like everyone else you are, the more like everyone else you'll be. And this is something that when I started to discover, actually, ultimately changed me. You see, if you think of millionaires, the way millionaires build wealth is they build wealth through people. There's a few things, but let's break it down, right? If you want to generate millions in wealth, you're going to do that by working with a few things. One of those things are people. Okay. Another one of those things are systems. Okay. A question to always ask yourself is, who am I working with to achieve my goal? That's the people question. Another question to ask yourself is, what systems am I applying to achieve my goal? Okay. And the key to working with the right people, a key to implementing the right systems, is starting to implement what we call a concept. I'm going to draw it right here. A concept of shared success. If you're a reader of the Bible like I am, the Bible says something very profound in light of this. It says, one, speaking about battle, is speaking about war. And in the context of battle, in the context of war, we can take it out of there and put it into finance for sure. In the context of battle, in the book of Deuteronomy, it says, if one can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. Now, if you break that down into a business analogy, let's do that in business, right? What does that mean in business? Let me tell you what it means in business, right? You have person one, okay? Let's call this Dorothy, okay? Dorothy is able to generate in a month 1,000. In the book of Deuteronomy, the Bible tells us if one can put 1,000 to flight, if one can create 1,000, if one could chase 1,000, let me tell you what it says about two, right? So now, let's say we have the same two. We're not getting rid of Dorothy, right? We'll still have Dorothy. But let's say Dorothy teams up with Daisy. Okay? So now we've got D and D. According to the Bible, if one can generate 1,000, two are going to generate 10,000. Now, this should be very interesting to you. I remember when I first heard this became very interesting to me, especially when you take the application from war and implement it into finance. Because you start to interestingly realize very quickly, well, hold on a minute. If Dorothy has 1,000, even if she gets all of it, she's only got 1,000. But if Dorothy and Daisy create 10,000 and they take 50% each, the same Dorothy doesn't end up with the same 1,000. Now Dorothy ends up with 5,000, which is 5 times more. Dorothy ends up with 5 times more because she decided to work with someone else. And this is the kind of stuff that stops people from producing high levels of success because they stop focusing on shared success. Most millionaires are very, very anti-personal heroics. They're not interested in being the main character in the movie because they recognize that the main character in the movie doesn't always have a journey that goes so smoothly. So what do most millionaires do? They make themselves a guide. They make themselves someone who can help the main character in the movie. And they give up the journey of personal heroics. Let me give you a clear example. One of my students, his name's James. Right now, James lives in Dubai. He didn't used to. Okay. Hopefully that will help you. So James was interested in replacing his income. He had this passion, this desire to become financially free. James used to work in medical sales. So he'd be generating around £4,000 every single month in his medical sales job. However, his job required him to travel all over the UK, driving to, these hospitals and different medical facilities and selling to these medical professionals specific medical engineering equipment, right? That was James's story. So James said, you know what, I'm going to use property to replace my income. So let me tell you what James started doing. James started going on course after course after course. He actually invested over £30,000 in different courses with all these different kind of gurus and hurus. And after James had invested £30,000 in all these different gurus and hurus, he had a conversation with me one day and he said to me, Samuel, I just want to replace my income. And I said to him, well, what's your income, James? He said, well, it's just £4,000. And all the work he'd done with all these gurus, this 30,000 plus pounds of investment he had made, he ended up with 2 properties generating him £600 per month. Okay. In a good month. Okay. So that was roughly around £300 per month each property. It wasn't that. I think one was generating more, but let's just call it roughly £300 per month per property. So a £30,000 investment in all these gurus and hurus, and the sum total result was 2 properties generating James £300 per month each, roughly, right? So James says to me, Samuel, if I could just replace my income, I'd be happy. So let me tell you what I recommended to James. I said to James, listen, come and join our upcoming cash flow creation week. It's 5 days. And in each of those 5 days, you don't have to take time off work. You don't have to do any of that. Just come. The classes are in the evening. The classes are an hour and a half, 90 minutes each day. And by the end of those 5 days, you will see a better way for you to replace your income. So James took me up on the invitation. He came to the 5-day cash flow creation week. And by the end of that week, he decided that he wanted us to work with him going further faster. Guess what happened to James? James was able to, using the exact same 2 properties, to go from generating £600 a month to generating over £4,500 every single God blessed month. He didn't buy any new properties. Okay. He bought no new properties, but the same properties produced for him over 5 times more than they were producing for him before. You might be asking the question that if I was you, I'd probably be asking. And that question is, what happened to James? What did you show James? What did James do that made over £4,500 came through from the same property? I ask you. I'm going to tell you. I taught James how to overcome main character syndrome. I taught James how to stop attempting to be the main character in his wealth creation and how to start to become a guide. And once James decided to become a guide, his finances decided to take him for a ride. You see, once James had replaced his income in a very solid fashion, let me tell you what he did. He sacked his boss, okay, fired his boss, right? After sacking his boss, he decided, I did not encourage him to do this. He decided, now that he was financially free, to go full time into property. He made that decision. And it was by virtue of him going full time into property that James actually met his wife. At the time, she wasn't his wife, but he met the love of his life. And now he got married to his wife. And then they decided in November of 2024 to move to Dubai. Okay. Now, why am I telling you James's story? I'm telling you James's story because James's story is a classic story of how main character syndrome gets us locked in to the wrong thing. You see, when we are always focused on us being the main character, we're literally making ourselves more indispensable. We're making ourselves the same as everyone else because that's what everyone else does. Everyone else is preferring themselves first. Everyone else is thinking of themselves first. Everyone else wants to be the person who gets there first. So guess what happens? Everyone else, unfortunately, over time, tends to die off first. But what would happen if you changed things? What would happen if you said, I get it. If I do what everyone else does, I can only get what everyone else gets. So I'm going to do something different to everyone else does so I can finally get what I've been desiring to get. Let's do a journal task right now. I want you to open up your journal, take a pen. In your notebook, notepad, iPad, tablet, stylus, pen, paper, everything you need to succeed. Take this opportunity and ask yourself this question. Where am I still acting as the hero instead of as a guide? Because in the words of Zig Ziglar, if you help enough people get everything that they desire for the rest of your life, you will never require anything. In the words of Jim Rohn, service to many leads to greatness. And even better than Zig Ziglar could have said, or even better than Jim Rohn could have said, the way Jesus said it is the way that it rings in my ears on a daily basis. Jesus said, if you desire to be the master of all, you must first do well to become the servant of all. It's the service to many that leads to your greatness. It's recognizing that if I position myself as a guide, my wealth will no longer hide. I want to encourage you, if you resonate with what I'm sharing right now, to comment the word guide in the comments. And as you do that, I'm going to walk you through what I call the muscle framework. So you can see exactly the journey that things need to take for you to have what you desire to have. And this muscle framework is a very simple framework, okay? And it literally articulates how you produce astronomical outcomes in your life. And it always has to start with me. That's how it starts. It starts with me. You are the architect of your desires. You are the architect of your goal. It starts with you. Because if it's going to be, it's up to me. It starts with you. But the moment you get the vision, as it says in Proverbs 29:18, as it says in Habakkuk chapter 2, write the vision, make it plain, so he who sees it can run with it. Proverbs 29:18. Guys, you see, once you catch a vision, the vision's not just for you. The vision is for you to push it through. Let me share this with you. Proverbs chapter 29. Without a vision, let me tell you what it says. Without a vision, let me tell you what happens to people. Proverbs 29 verse 18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. This is why vision is so imperative. Because without it, you're on a one-way ticket trip to destruction. Proverbs 29:18, without a vision, the people perish. So you catch the vision. It starts with me. Hit yourself on the chest right now. Say, that's me. But when you get the vision, you've got to take it to us. That's where you build your team. That's where you share your dream. So it may start with a me, but it has to become an us. And then the next thing you do when you've gone from me and taken it to us, you've built the team, you then go to developing some form of systems. You see, the key to the systems is you recognizing that there's more for us to do. So let's automate what we do. The key to the systems is seeing, in order to get to the top of the proverbial Mount Everest, whatever that goal may be, I can't do it on my own. It can't just be me. But even if I bring along a team, we need to utilize systems to achieve the dream. So from me to us to systems, this is how you start to develop the muscle of literally achieving what you desire. So me, us, systems, my favorite part comes next. We work on the catapult. The catapult is where you're leveraging the vision you have, you're leveraging the team you have, and you're leveraging the systems you have. And when all three work together, you start to create scale. That scale is the catapult. That scale is the leverage. That scale is how you produce outcomes and results that you could never have produced on your own. That scale is how you and your team start producing a dream. And you all know that the dream is bigger than any one member of the team. You catapult. Now, why do you need to catapult? Because catapulting ultimately over time produces for you and your team a legacy. Now, I'm going to share something with you. Many people stop here. You don't have to. If you're willing to take heed to this whole process, after producing a legacy, you will be equipped to literally produce an empire. And this is the muscle framework. If you want to have the true muscle to achieve dreams, to achieve goals that you've never achieved before, this is how you do it. You take the dream, you take the vision, you share it with a team that becomes your ignition. You then start to put systems into position and you get to catapult and produce results at scale. Over time, that introduces you to the legacy you've been waiting on, which opens the door to an empire you can only be dreaming of. This is how it works. And one thing to share so you can understand super clear is that millionaires don't scale themselves. They scale their systems. A millionaire is not trying to replace themselves 1,000 times. They're trying to create systems. So if you take it upon yourself to be someone who stops attempting to scale yourself and attempts to scale your systems instead, you will see you'll start to produce astronomical results. Some results may be beyond what you've even had in your head. If this is making sense to you and this message is coming through, I want you to throw in the comments, small keys open big doors.
Small keys open big doors.